Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falvo. On today's show, we'll learn how Us Against Alzheimer's supports those in New Jersey who are in the fight against this horrible disease. We'll also learn about Mighty Mike Simmel and the Bounce Out the Stigma basketball camp. But first, New HD Media is blazing a trail for people with special and additional needs in on-air entertainment. Joining us now is Zach Martin, founder of New HD Media, to tell us all about how this project began. Zach, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
Well, I'm very happy to be reconnected with you. You're at my home base, Sports Radio 66, WFAN. So it's always nice to go back, even virtually.
Yeah, it is a great place to be. It's my main job here, working as the creative director at WFAN in New York. And I have to say that the staff and the various personalities have been really supportive of our efforts to create job opportunities for people on the autistic spectrum and with additional needs. With New HD New York, where Rock lives, we are based out of New Jersey. But as you know, there's a legendary radio station that is an inspiration to what we do here. It started when I originally worked with Scott Muni on Q1043 in New York. And we became great friends. And he was a family member. He passed away in 2004. And this is kind of a tribute to Scott and to those great legendary rock and roll disc jockeys of that great legendary station. And now we have a new generation of broadcasters, and they get to be part of something that's just amazing. It's life-changing.
What inspired you to start New HD Media?
My daughter was involved in the school system, and she had a lot of friends on the autistic spectrum and with additional needs. I just saw the struggle that a lot of these kids had to go through, and a lot of the parents who were really dismayed about the future. What's going to happen when my child graduates from high school? What then? What are some of the options? And then when you look at the whole disability sector for employment, it's a high unemployment rate. It is legally, you can actually pay somebody, it's a legal thing, as little as 23 cents an hour if you have a disability. So some of these people with disabilities are paid under minimum wage. I was disturbed by that. So I wanted to create an organization that was inclusive, that welcomed people from all different backgrounds. We focus on those with autism and additional needs. And we try to create a situation that's beneficial to everybody that's involved. And what we found is it really flips the script. Can you imagine? A lot of people will look at somebody with a challenge, with a disability, with additional needs, with autism, and they paint them into a box. And we don't do that here. I do believe that everybody is capable of living their life's dreams. And when these young people end up on the air at New HD as disc jockeys, it's amazing. What a great transformation that we have seen. It also helps in speech development. It's kind of like a speech therapy instrument that people can work with, and they become better at communicating. So there's so many different verticals, as I would like to say, on how it affects people on all different levels. It was one of those, I would say, I don't know how I was inspired, but a voice inside of me said, Zach, this is an issue and it's your job to take care of it. So then I took that responsibility, and I've been doing it ever since.
I think that's so beautiful and a testament to the type of person you are. Because a lot of the people that we have on the show, they're inspired by family members or themselves, right? You really don't have any experience in dealing with this world, but yet you want to make a difference for them. And I think that's so unique and cool.
It's about our guiding principles. And I think if we all, no matter who we are, if we decide that we want to be better, we also have to make the world better for others around us. And it's really about loving thy neighbor. That's the basic premise of all of this. I saw suffering. I was aware of it. And like all of us, it's not somebody else's job to do something. We all have our part to play. We all have to pick up that cause, and we have to go with it to the best of our ability. So just these basic things. When you see somebody struggling across the street, stop your car, get out, help them. When you see elderly people trying to get in to vote, take a little bit of your time to help that person get into the polling place and make sure that they get back to their car. It's just simple things. Treat people like you want to be treated. And I also was disturbed by the fact the lack of job opportunities. So I thought that I can use my background in media and the media technology to really make a difference. And you know what? We're making a difference at New HD Media. And every time I turn on the radio, we have two stations right now, one from New York and LA. I wanted to experiment the proof of concept, no matter where you were, you could participate. Every time I hear one of our kids, one of my kids on the radio, I'll tell you, I get emotional and I'm brought to tears because I see and I can hear and I can feel the wonderful impact that is made possible through St. Sophia's Mission and New HD.
Tell us about that programming that brings you to tears.
It's when I hear these kids who, for the first time in their lives, are included in something that's really special that most of us dream about doing, and you hear them talk, you can't help but be moved by that. And I do know that a lot of these kids suffer from isolation and being bullied and not being included. And nobody wants to be treated like that. So I think it's a myriad of emotions that I, experience when I hear these kids. And we will stop at nothing to try to meet them where they are. We have some blind broadcasters as well. So we develop systems that they can utilize so that they can participate as well.
So talk to us about the type of programming on New HD Media. What can people expect when they tune in?
We have rock, we'll do hip hop, we could do sports talk, we can do all kinds of different types of programming. It all depends on the market, where I see an opening or where we see an opening, and maybe some of the kids who get involved with us, maybe they'll try to design their format that they want to run. The long-term goal is for me to get the organization where it needs to be, financially secure. We need the funding, of course, and it's going to be self-sustaining. And eventually what I want to do is I want to hand off the leadership and operation to these young adults.
And you have the backing. I mean, I know you said financially you're starting to get that, but you have the backing of some big names in the radio world, some of which are working right down the hall from you right now.
Oh, yeah. Mark Chernoff, longtime programmer for WFAN. Chuck Bortnick, who used to be the COO, and the market manager for WFAN and Westwood One. Dave Mason, legendary rocker Dave Mason, is going to come aboard as our spokesperson. So we've got some big plans in the future as we move forward. And we have some local business people who are also helping us out as well. But you're right. The broadcast community, they're stepping it up, and they really have been very supportive of our mission to create job opportunities for people on the autistic spectrum and with additional needs.
And you also partnered with the nonprofit Sophia's Mission. Tell us about that partnership and how does it help New HD?
Right. Yeah, here's the story behind Sophia's Mission. I am also a Russian Orthodox priest. A lot of people don't know that. Father Zachary. Years ago, I started to work with people that live with HIV. And I noticed that, there were a lot of stigmas attached to having HIV and living with AIDS. And I became friends with a lot of people, and it was a ministry. And as we started to evolve, it just happened to be like, okay, the easiest thing for us to do is to take St. Sophia's Mission, name it Sophia's Mission, so that we have that 501c3, so everything is tax deductible. And that from that, we created the New HD Media. If that makes any sense to you. So it was a way to use what I already had and maximize the effectiveness of that non-for-profit in order to help with this New HD Media side of it. It's all non-for-profit, but I thought to myself, we got to do something that, right from the get-go, it embraces everybody, allows anybody to be part of our organization and inclusive.
Well, where can people find out more about that fall programming?
You can go to newhdmedia.com and you'll find out a lot about what's going on at New HD.
I am so happy that you took the time to come on here today. Thank you so much for spreading your mission, and we hope to have you back on soon. New Jersey has one of the highest rates of Alzheimer's disease in the nation. Joining us now is Brooks Kenny, Vice President of Consumer Engagement and Partnerships at Us Against Alzheimer's, and a Jersey girl. Brooks, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm so happy that you are here with us. We met a few weeks back at the AZI Grand Opening Ceremony in Nutley, and I loved you and your mission, so of course I had to have you on here.
Oh, well, thank you. Likewise, it was a really fun day in New Jersey, and it's great to be back.
Well, talk to us about that mission. What does Us Against Alzheimer's do?
Yeah, so we are a nonprofit advocacy organization. Really, we envision a world where everyone across the country has access to prevention, early detection, and treatment of Alzheimer's disease. You know, Alzheimer's disease impacts Blacks and Latinos and women more than any other groups. And we have a lot of work to do in the area of prevention, earlier detection, and access to treatment for everybody. And so we advocate for that on Capitol Hill. We advocate in the community. We work with providers. We work with families and communities to reduce stigma so that people can get the support that they need much sooner. Not unlike cancer, you know, most cancers have early detection as part of the experience. And we really want Alzheimer's to be something that people start talking more about and actually get support much earlier in their process and journey.
It's super important. What are the big issues that you see in Alzheimer's disease?
Well, the biggest issue really right now is around early detection. It might surprise your viewers to hear that 60% of cases of Alzheimer's disease go unrecognized. And those that do get diagnosed often get diagnosed in the later stages when there's a crisis, when someone is wandering or gets lost or has an accident or a fall. We need to get people into the system sooner so that they don't have to suffer. There's so much suffering in silence in Alzheimer's disease, and we're trying to put an end to that. I would say detection is probably the biggest issue. The second issue I would flip on its head and call an opportunity, and that's around prevention. The science has really been catching up, and we now know that more than 40% of Alzheimer's cases can actually be attributed to lifestyle factors. So there's things each and every one of us can start doing today. We can try to eat nutritious meals, not a lot of not a lot of processed foods, limiting alcohol, moving our bodies, making sure we're connecting with friends and family and staying socially active, reducing things like hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes. All those things that we talk about that are good for the heart are good for the brain. And those things can start to make an impact, you know, early on. So we're encouraging adults to really think about their brain as a vital organ, just like they do other parts of their body. So we think prevention and early detection are really the keys to unlocking a real shift in the movement, if you will.
I mentioned in the intro that New Jersey has some of the highest rates of cases in the nation. Why is that?
Well, I haven't done a deep dive into New Jersey, but I think some of it is related to age. Age is the number one risk factor for developing Alzheimer's disease. But make sure this is really clear. Alzheimer's is not a natural part of aging. You know, if you forget somebody's name in one moment and you remember it later, that's just normal aging. As our bodies change, our brains change too. So we know that age is a risk factor, but it's not inevitable. So I want to make that distinction. There are about 200,000 folks in New Jersey that are living with Alzheimer's disease, and those are just the ones we know about. And then there's about 360,000 family caregivers. So not professional paid caregivers, but people in someone's life who are helping to take care of that loved one with a diagnosis. So it's a pretty significant number of folks in New Jersey that are dealing with Alzheimer's today. And those are just the ones we know about.
Well, you make a good point, the ones we know about. There's such a stigma around this disease. People don't want to talk about it. And the same goes with mental health issues. Why is there such a stigma around anything related to mental health?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that. And I really applaud your network for continuing to talk about this, because that's what needs to happen. Right now, we know that Alzheimer's disease is the number one fear of people 50 and older, yet it is the least talked about topic in our healthcare conversations. We know that providers, oftentimes primary care providers, don't want to raise the topic themselves because there are not a lot of options for treatment today. And so it's hard as a provider to talk about something where they can't help solve the challenge. Although we're hopeful that new treatments on the horizon, coupled with the prevention tips, give more opportunity for providers to have these conversations. But think about it, none of us want to lose our memories. You know, our brains are central to everything we do, our thinking, our memory, our emotions, and none of us want to lose those things. We don't want to forget our memories, and so I think there's a lot of fear that comes with that, and so bringing it up is a challenge. And that's another reason why we focus so much on brain health and words like prevention, because we think if we can come at it from that perspective, it allows us to normalize those conversations much earlier in someone's life. So by the time they might be developing any types of symptoms for Alzheimer's, they've already been kind of engaged in those brain healthy conversations. I just think it's really scary. And I also think for so long, we have seen people in the news or in entertainment or what have you, where that person was depicted as a very old, frail person sitting in a dark room, with the curtains drawn. And that's not the typical person that's diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease if they're diagnosed early. I mean, we know many people that are living with the disease, they're living independently, they're still working, and we just don't see that enough. And so it's exciting to kind of think about how we can shift this narrative and get people engaged in these conversations and normalizing them more. And that's a big part of the work that we do.
Well, thank you for coming on here and normalizing the conversation for our viewers. Where can people learn more about you and Us Against Alzheimer's?
Absolutely. Well, folks can visit usagainstalzheimers.org, and they can also visit mybrainguide.org, which has brain health education information, memory questionnaires that people can take on their own. And you can learn more about signs and symptoms of the disease so that you can be informed and learn what steps might be best for you in your journey. So I hope folks check it out.
Thank you so much, Brooks.
Thank you for having me.
Mighty Mike Simmel and his father founded the Bounce Out the Stigma Project in 2005 as a campaign to educate others, teach healthy lifestyle choices, and empower youth with unique issues. He grew up with a disability and based the project off of his personal experiences. Mike joins us now. Welcome to the show.
Lisa, how are you? Nice to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we've worked on a number of projects together, one of which was Emmy nominated. We'll get to that later. But first, talk to us about Bounce Out the Stigma.
Well, Bounce Out the Stigma was created by me and my father, as you said. But a little bit of background is I've had epilepsy since the age of 2. And when I was a youth, I was debilitated to the point where when I was like 6 years old, I had drop seizures. And I, couldn't hop, couldn't skip, wore a helmet. And basketball became my way of just, helping out to help my disabilities take shape and grow as a person. I dribbled the ball everywhere I went because my dad wanted to use the basketball to help overcome my disability. I overcame epilepsy initially at the age of 7. I overcome my drop seizures, and then I grew up a little bit and become a pretty good basketball player. Played with the Harlem Wizards for 13 years. But something happened to me along the way. When I was 16 years old, I was at a basketball camp, and my first seizures now came back, and the camp wanted to send me home. And I was kept in the back of my mind, if I was ever in a position to help kids down the road, I was going to do it. So I had a platform when I was with the Wizards to help kids. And I sat down with my dad in 2005. We were over dinner. We thought of a way to help kids to dream of an idea to start a camp and start a program, start a foundation to help kids. We called it Bounce Out the Stigma. That summer we started camps. We started one small camp in New Jersey. It blossomed into 3 camps the following summer. We partnered with a couple people, the Epilepsy Foundation of New Jersey. We worked with them for about 6 years with just camps in New Jersey. A couple years later, I retired from the Wizards after a 13-year run, like I said. And then like 8 years ago, like I said, I took it on full time. Since that time, we've been in over 25 states throughout the country. I took it on full time, and yeah, and it's grown. We were the 2019 Junior NBA Program of the Year. In addition to that, we've been partnered with the Sixers, the Knicks, the Orlando Magic, a bunch of nonprofits, a bunch of corporations, colleges, all sorts of cool stuff. And it's a rocking. It's awesome, and it's just such a blast to be able to get back to these kids that were once in a position like I was in, sometimes even worse. But you know, with these kids, they fight, they work hard, they believe in themselves, and we teach them not to quit.
Take us through the camp. What do the participants experience?
Absolutely. So the participants, what they do during the camp is it's a series of motor skills, fine development, gross motor skills, sensory integration, basketball fundamentals, and we have fun. We do a lot of really cool stuff. We dance, we have a good time. I take trick shots for the kids. And also it's just a combination of all sorts of cool stuff that we learn. We have fun. I mean, we mix it all up, but mainly what it is, it's sensory integration, motor learning, basketball fundamentals, and a whole lot of fun and dancing combined in the blender, mix it up, and just having a great time.
What's the feedback been?
Oh gosh, after 17 years, it's been loads of fun and loads of great things. We're growing. 25 states. This summer we were in 11 camps in 6 states. And we're growing some more. We're going to Kentucky next year. There'll be 7 states next summer, and some more even growing after that. The feedback's been tremendous. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we have our after school and weekend programs and in-school programs. Now we have school assembly programs that we'll be working on. As our sponsor AZI will be funding that. So we're so excited about that. We're just, I mean, it's taking off tremendously, and I'm bald now, and I can't keep up with it.
But it's a good thing. It's a good
yes,
thing,
it is.
right?
It's always a good thing. To be busy is a good thing. I love to be with the kids. I love to do the basketball tricks. I love to be zany. I love to have a good time, and I love to get busy, and it's awesome.
Well, you mentioned AZI as one of your partners.
Yeah.
That is how we got together, and we filmed your camp last summer, and it was nominated. Actually, you tell the story.
Last summer, AZI is our corporate sponsor, our title sponsor for our camps in New Jersey, and AZI comes in every summer, and they provide volunteers for our camps in New Jersey, in addition to some do funding as far as the sponsorship. And they asked last year if they could have somebody like do a small documentary on our camp. So Lisa's group came in and they filmed the camp at one of our sessions, and it was awesome. I mean, it was rocking. Saw the documentary after it was done, and I was like, man, this is awesome. My parents saw it. They're like, man, this is awesome. So lo and behold, a couple months later, I come to find out it's nominated for a New York Emmy Award. So I was like, a New York Emmy Award. I'm just honored and blessed and humbled to be working with people like yourself. And I'm thankful. I'm just thankful to have that opportunity. If it happens, great. If not, we gave it our best effort. And these kids are the stars. That's the most important thing to know. The kids are the stars of the show. Mighty Mike's just the vessel to make it happen. And you guys made it happen. And I'm blessed and honored to work with you, people like yourself, Lisa. You really made it happen. And the people at AZI, they funded it. So I want to thank AZI. I want to thank you, everybody out there, all the kids, all the families, all the people that we touched. That's what it's all about.
Hey, it's a team effort. So
Absolutely.
It never would have happened if Robin Dormer over at AZI didn't put it into motion.
Absolutely.
And Ryan Halaz, he went out there, he shot, he edited. I was on maternity leave producing from afar, and, but it got done. So
Absolutely.
Listen, win or lose, it's still a win in my book.
Absolutely. It's a team effort, just like the game of basketball. It's a team effort. It's that passing it around, everybody's got a role, and hopefully in the end, we hit a slam dunk and maybe win that championship.
Maybe. You never know. You never know. Mike, where can people find out more about you, the camp, and how to support?
Absolutely. So if you could go to bounceoutthestigma.org, that's our website. You learn all about the program, ways to give, sponsorship opportunities, all about me, all about the program, some awards that we've won, who we work with. We have an Instagram page, Bounce Out the Stigma. We have a Facebook page. But mainly, if you go to bounceouttostigma.org, you'll see videos from like news clippings that we've been in and all sorts of cool stuff. It's a really concise website. It's up to par. We got a great webmaster. He's awesome. It's bounceouttostigma.org.
And thank you for doing everything you're doing for these kids,
Thank you.
because all
Thank you,
kids deserve the experience that you're giving them.
And it's like what we tell our kids, limits will not define me. My will defines my limits. So anybody out there, you're facing adversity, you're facing tough times. Diversity makes the champion in you. Diversity makes the champion. And how you handle that adversity is a measure of the person you're going to become. And don't ever, ever forget it.
I love ending the show on that note. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.